Welcome again in our series of classes, and today we're going to look at depreciation. Of course, we're also going to look at the method that are used in calculating depreciations, and basically we're going to look at two methods, though there are more than two methods. We're going to look at the straight line method and the reducing balance method. You will recall when we were discussing, or when I was explaining on the balance sheet, it happened that I also explained the accounting equation. You remember when we were having accounting equation, we said that from the accounting equation, we have assets, capital and liability, and for it to balance it, assets should be equal to capital and liability. Now the same principles apply. Of course, we say that assets have been categorized into current assets and non-current assets, and here we are going only to look at those fixed assets or non-current assets that depreciate in value. You know that we have non-depreciable assets like freehold land, lease. So these kind of assets normally do not depreciate their value, but sometimes they appreciate their value. Now here we are only going to deal with those assets that are depreciable in nature. And these methods, the two methods that I've mentioned that we're going to deal with, the straight line method and reducing balance method, I said we're not limited to only those two methods. There are more than that. We have for example, the sum of year digits method, and so many of them. Now to start with, what is the straight line based method? Some of the data that you're supposed to have when you want to calculate the depreciation of an asset, you'll have to know the cost of that, you'll have to know the original cost or the historical cost of an asset, the salvage value or the estimated value of an asset, and then the useful life or the estimated useful life of that asset. For example, if an asset is going to stay for 5 years or 6 years, and then you want to estimate the value of depreciation within that time period at the 5 years or 6 years, and at the end of 5 years or 6 years, what is the value of an asset? So by using the straight line method, the formula says if you want to find the annual depreciation, you'll have to take the cost of that asset, you minus the salvage value, then the difference of the difference of the cost of that asset and the salvage value, you divide by the estimated useful life, or the estimated number of period or number of years that you think that asset is going to stay. So simply you are saying depreciation is equal to cost of asset, you minus estimated or residual value, you divide by the estimated useful economic life of an asset. For example, when you have an asset of let's say you have a car that you bought by 10 million, then you expect that this car will stay maybe for 5 years, and then at the end of 5 years probably you want to see, or you estimate that at the end of 5 years the residual value of a car will be maybe 2 million. So if you want to find this depreciation by using straight line method, simply you have to take 10 million, you minus the 2 million residual value, then you get 8 million. So this 8 million you divide by the number of years, which is 5 years. Okay. The other method, as I mentioned earlier, is called the reducing balance method or diminishing balance method. Of course, we're going to use the same variables that I mentioned earlier, that you need to have the cost of an asset, historical cost, the salvage value. But here, you'll also have to anticipate or to estimate the usable rate that will be used to calculate the depreciation. Now the formula says the annual depreciation is equal to net book value times the depreciation rate. I repeat again, net book value times depreciation rate. Now what is this net book value? Net book value is the difference between the original cost of an asset, you minus the salvage value. Net book value is the difference between the cost of an asset, you minus the salvage value. So using the same example that you have an asset, maybe you have a car of 10 million, then you estimate this car is going to stay maybe for 5 years, and the depreciation rate is sought to be maybe 20%, and the salvage value at the end of the 5 years, let us assume maybe it is 0. So if you want to find the depreciation, annual depreciation rate, simply you'll have first to find the net book value at every year. So the net book value, as I said, it is the cost of an asset, you minus the salvage value. Okay. Now here the cost of an asset is 10 million, the salvage value is 0. So the net book value is again 10 million. So if you multiply by the 20%, it is going to be 2 million. Now, in summary, The formula for finding depreciation by using the reducing balance method, it is the net book value you times the depreciation rate. In summary, annual depreciation is equal to net book value you times depreciation rate. And net book value is the difference between the cost of an asset minus the residual value. And again, with the straight line method, as the name itself straight, finding an annual depreciation rate, it is taking the historical cost of an asset, you minus the salvage value, the difference of it you divide by the estimated useful life. So in the next session, we are also going to look at how this depreciation, yearly depreciation, how they accumulate and how they can be used plus the original cost to find either when you want to dispose an asset, if you are getting a profit or loss by using a disposal account. So don't miss our next session so that you get to know what is disposable account, you get to understand more of accumulated depreciations, and we also to have some more examples, practical examples on how we are going to calculate depreciation by using the two method, straight line method and reducing balance method. Thank you for watching.